So 13 millimeter, 3/8 inch drive. I'm gonna start moving these. Hopefully there's nothing underneath there. I don't think there is. So remove. Looks like there's 4 on each side. Oh, small bolts too. So that's what they look like. And that's not a good sign. Notice that there's like oil on that one, right? That one is just rusted. I'm gonna go over here to the front of the manifold. These bolts. See what these look like. That one's just rusted. This one's going to be a pain in the butt, but I'll be able to get around it. Also rusted. Okay. So, I'm going to go over here and start taking out these bolts. And like I said, gonna have to disconnect, obviously, some vacuum lines, but I'm gonna also have to disconnect these, right? So I'll disconnect those, and then we'll get to this other side of the intake manifold. They kind of just press, but I can't do them with my gloves on. Pull up. Oops, pull up. Out. Pull up on this gray part. And I think you press, and you press. Okay, you squeeze it right here, and it releases it. That's 2. Let's see if we get these 2. These 2 are kind of these 2 are down here. So I'm gonna do the same thing. Press, remove. Pull up on the gray piece, press, remove. Let's see where the bolts are down here. So you can kind of see there's one on the other side. This looks like it has less. So let's see what we got here. I mean, there's 2 in the back, and unlike the other side, there's only 1. These are the injectors. So I got 1, 2, 3 I got to remove. I'm going to remove those. Probably resting on something and you can see me do it. But the front ones. Okay. So I'm going to remove that one. You probably can't see it. It's right underneath here. I need both my hands to do it. And then I'm going to go to the back. You can probably see that one perfectly fine. And I'm going to move this one. Let's see what we see here. Let's see. Okay, this one. Hopefully I got it to the point where I can remove these. Okay. Bet you this one's going to have some stuff on it, but let's see. What I'm hoping that indicates is that one of these heads is bad. There is nothing. So that one is perfectly fine. The corresponding one on the other side, the sister one, was not. Okay. Now just be aware if this intake is cracked. This is a custom part. This is almost $1,000 for this intake. All right? If you can find one. I'm a big proponent of not buying new parts unless you have to buy new parts. I really don't have a source for any of these Mercruiser parts. Same thing. This one is just rusty, no water on it. And heading to the front here. So let's see. Okay, so last bolt's underneath there. At least I think it is, right? So I've been kind of winging it because I read the instructions in the shop manual, talked to my engine guy. He basically said, hey, it should be a bunch of bolts like this. Get everything off. Like I said, the bigger problem is going to be this, right? Now, it doesn't want to come out. And I've also learned something else. Don't ever force anything that doesn't want to be forced out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try, it looks like somebody put RTV sealant back here, which is probably what you were supposed to do, but who the heck knows? I have to believe there probably is. So I'm probably going to remove these just to be safe. So I'm going to try to remove the rail instead of the Schrader piece over there. I have not been able to figure out why this intake won't come off, but this stud needs to come out. And I'm going to throw all this stuff into Evaporust. Put this bracket on only to remove it again, because there's another one underneath here. Right, and take that off. These are 10 millimeter from what I could tell. I don't know what to make of any of this. It may just be have so much silicone underneath it that you can't get it off. Now to get the rail off, I'm gonna have to do some finagling here. There are these clips that you have to push, right? You can see when you push them back, you release the fuel injector clip. I know this because I got these on the CV, right? And these fuel injectors, like I said, they have a lot of corrosion on them, like especially that one. So I'm probably going to replace all the fuel injectors too. So I'm going to move this screw, this whatever this thing is, this stud. And this is not really inspiring. I mean, there's a possibility that there's a crack in this intake. Like I said, this is like $1,000 part. It actually is like two separate things, right? So take this out. I'll pull these off, but there's a lot of weirdness going on here. I probably got to get that off too. I'm probably going to pull the throttle body off. Probably a good idea to take all this stuff and clean it off. So I'm going to pull these studs out, put everything aside, and yeah, you can, like the air cleaner was totally busted on this one, or whatever, the spark arrest or whatever you want to call it. You can tell there's a ton of rust. Like I said, I'm going to drop most of this stuff into Evaporust. Let's see what I can clean this up. There's only one problem with Evaporust. If there's not a suitable. When it removes the rust, obviously it dissolves it. If there is any removal of material, which there probably is, the bolt may not go back in. That's the problem I had with that thing right there. It's so rusted. Put some thread locker on it and hopefully it'll stay sealed up. But I'm gonna figure out how to get this all off and I'll be back. I think probably I should have taken off all these pieces, you know, ahead of time, but I'll be back. So to get to this bolt, fairly easy, but to get this one, you have to take off these screws, and this one is easily accessible, but this one is not. What you'll need to do is you'll need to use an Allen wrench and pull it out. That's what I did. When you're done, now these are the bolts. You'll have 2 of them, right? Or screws, whatever. You're gonna pull that bad boy out. Now you'll have access to this one, right? So now I'm gonna grab my handy dandy 10mm, and hopefully what happens with this after I remove this piece is I just rotate this out of the way and pull these up. Obviously I have to remove the clip. This clip, use a screwdriver or your fingers. These ones are kind of a little bit tough to deal with. Right. There's that one. I've already moved the back one. I think you saw me do that. I'll drop that one there. This is an interesting thing, though. You look down in here, you're gonna notice, if I can get this out of the way, that probably shouldn't be like that at all. So maybe it's sucking water directly in here, but that could be our culprit right there. That should not be broken. I mean, they should all look like that. So we're probably dealing with a busted intake of some sort, and it may just be sucking water. It's all really nasty back here. It might just be sucking water all the way back into this area here, right? Now, I'll know once I get the intake manifold off, right? And that has been my challenge. I still have not been able to get that bolt out. But I need to get this off, and maybe I can see what's going on underneath here. And if it's cracked manifold, I'll know by looking under here, I think, right? So, let's see what I got. I'm gonna take this screw out, or this bolt out. I do not know what I've done with my socket, so that's going to be a challenge. Yeah, it's gonna be a challenge. Be back in a second. Okay, so I'm gonna pull that off. Have this long extension or long deep well socket. Just be careful you don't break anything. This is all going to go into a vapor rust. Well, what do we got going on here? Well, shit. That's no good. It's a bloody fuel injector rail. What am I missing here? Lots of rust. Okay, well, I'm gonna put my phone down. I'm gonna stop taking pictures here. And maybe, just maybe, I can figure out how to get this bloody thing off. If not, I'm probably gonna pack it in and be done for the night. It's almost 5 o'clock. I haven't been working on this thing for about a month now. Work's been crazy. And trying to get all the shop set up. I've put in brand new lights everywhere. They're all controlled individually. I have Oscar over there, and I have the Sea-Doo over there that I got to deal with. Start taking him apart. He's going to be on another blog. I think what I'm just going to do is I'll pull these fuel injector rail. I'll pull these rails off. That's probably the easiest thing. Bleed the pressure off from here. This is a Schrader valve, right? Don't want to do anything stupid, so well, looks like all the pressure's out. Normally you would put a thing on it. This hasn't been started in a while, so I'm assuming the pressure bled off. Probably also bled off because I started pulling on this thing, so the fuel injector rail. Talked to my engine guy about how I get this manifold thing off. Like I said, looks like whoever worked on it cracked it back there. That's not a good thing, because the front of this has a bunch of water that goes through it. You kind of see it's all rusted out over there. So it's very possible it's pumping water up and sucked back down into the engine somewhere, because it's not supposed to have a hole like that. Or it's not supposed to be missing a piece. I'll probably have to talk to Jimmy to find out whether I can find a used intake. Even used, these things are like $700-800. It's just ridiculous. It's a bloody intake. It's a piece of metal. Maybe I can. I don't know. I don't want to play with it. If I don't find any crack in this after I take this off, then clearly I'm gonna look for. I'm gonna see what's going on with this intake. Like I said, intake has water that goes into the bottom of it, and there's obviously oil and water mix, so that's not a big deal there because it's been doing it for a while. But like I said, there's a bunch of rust back there. There's a little less rust up here, and I'm thinking that's indicative of what's going on here, because there's a whole bunch of rust over there. There's a whole bunch of water that looks like it's been standing back here, and that theoretically, it's not going to go down into this piece, but like I said, the bottom half of this intake has a bunch of water in it, right? So we'll have to see. Maybe it's not a crack block at all. This would not be that bad to do once I get this off, right? So we'll find out. Stay tuned. It's probably going to be next week.